What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, it's Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'll be taking you guys through a new draft. It's going to be the Trent plus Salah combination. So this video has been requested over on my Discord server and my Twitter DMs. It seems like there's a lot of you out there that want to see how a draft with Salah and Trent in would look. So I'll be going over my best attempt of this combination, but comment down below if you guys have your own drafts with Salah and Trent in them and how they're looking. Otherwise, you guys can always comment your normal drafts. If it doesn't have Salah in, doesn't have Trent in, no worries. And I'll give you guys any pointers if I see any major red flags. But getting back to this video, obviously a lot of money is going to be tied in the bank with Salah and Trent in the squad. So we're going to have to make sacrifices and go for some budget options. I'll be going through some different formations and some flexibility that you guys can use if you want these two Liverpool assets. So that's something that you guys are interested in. Sit back, relax, and let's get straight into it. Now before we get into the draft, I want to give you guys a reminder, if you want to support the channel, you can become a YouTube member. Legend members get exclusive channels on my Discord server where you guys can talk to me one-on-one. But don't worry, there are still free kind of channels on my Discord server, and you guys can always catch me over my Twitter page at DayvyFPL. Also, I'm trying to reply to every single comment down below, so if you guys have any questions about your own team or my teams, comment them and I'll try to get back to you. But going back to the actual team, and no surprise here, the money in the bank is going to be 0.0, so everything's been spent on the bench and the starting 11. And with Salah and Trent both in the team, you guys can understand why. So if you guys want to have some value in the bank, you're going to have to make some serious kind of downgrades, which I wouldn't recommend, as the starting 11 is really looking quite thin. But let's start off with the bench, and the bench is going to be as cheap as possible. You guys can understand why. I've already mentioned it. Trent's 8.0, Salah's 12.5. I had to squeeze every little pound into the starting 11, and that's why the bench is so cheap. But don't worry, the bench still has some playing options. I've got Areola at 4.0, he's not going to feature though. I kind of expect Fabianski to be between the sticks for West Ham come game week 1. But let's hope through preseason. There's been talks about maybe potentially Heaton leaving United. That'll be a playable 4.0 if he does go to Luton. So Areola is kind of a placeholder. As preseason goes on, you can just sub whatever 4.0 is going to play. Then I've got Baldock as my 4.0 from Sheffield United. Now there are a few Sheffield United defenders at 4.0 that played a full 90 minutes in their preseason game. So if push comes to shove, we can always go for two Sheffield United 4.0s, but I've actually opted for Ball as a cheap alternative. Now there's been a new signing for Luton as well, so just keep your eyes on that. I want to see if he's going to be starting for them. It seems like he will, as he is a new signing. But at the current moment, all you guys have to know is that we should be getting two 4.0 playing defenders if they need to come off the bench, but let's hope they don't. Then finally, in terms of the 4.5, you guys know Surridge has left the club. He's traveling to America, going to sign for a club there. So he's actually departed FPL and the Premier League as a whole. But he's going to be price locked if you want to go for a price lock striker. Can't really recommend any other 4.5 forwards at the moment, but maybe one will pop up through preseason. But let's go on to the starting 11 because that's the most important part of this video. I'm going to just plug in Trent and Salah right now because we're going to build the team around them. Now I did the same in my Salah draft a few days ago, but I won't be going kind of position by position. I want to show you guys the most essential options and show you how I usually build my drafts. So with Salah and Trent plugged in there, we've got a defender and a midfielder. Now in terms of my kind of thinking about Salah and Trent, should you guys be going for them? I think Trent's slightly more easier to incorporate than Mo Salah, just because there's so many nice midfielder options that come in quite cheap. Whereas Trent 8.0, that's not the kind of the biggest price tag in the game, and I actually like him in a back 3. Now, do I think Trent and Salah are worth it at their price points? Well, Salah's an easy one. I think if you're not going to captain him for the majority of game weeks, I probably wouldn't go for him. Yes, game week 2 is going to come against Bournemouth, you'll captain him there, but are you going to captain him in the future any other game week? If the answer is yes, I think you guys can get away with actually going for him. But if you watch my kind of underpriced and overpriced video, you'll understand why I'm saying that. If you're not going to captain Salah, I believe that he's overpriced, but if you do go and captain him, he's actually underpriced. With Trent, he's kind of borderline. You would have seen that compared to the regression line of the defenders, he's just below it, but kind of very close by. And therefore, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt at his more expensive price tag. The one thing I will say in the opening fixtures is I don't really think that Liverpool will keep as many clean sheets. If you watch them throughout preseason, they haven't been as strong as I'd like them to be, but we still do have about 2 weeks left. So in my own personal draft, if you've seen my updated draft, I don't have Trent in my team. I think that you can spread the value elsewhere. Same with Mo Salah. But the purpose of this draft, if you guys want to go for them, what team can you actually build? So I'm going to start off with the most essential player in the game. Yes, you've gone for Trent, Salah, expensive options, but I'll be going for the most expensive FPL player, and that's Erling Haaland at 14 million. Now I've put the Kamsi armband on him for now because I do think there's kind of a debate to be had between Salah and Haaland Kamsi, but generally I think game week 1, Liverpool play Chelsea, you'll probably go for Erling Haaland. So yes, even if you're going to be going for a more expensive double up in the Liverpool assets, I do still think you should go for Erling Haaland, and that's why I've included him here, as he's an essential pick in my opinion. Now the next essential pick, and I think you guys should be going for an Arsenal attacker. They have great fixtures on paper, and therefore my choice is Bukayo Saka at 8.5 million. If you want to save some value, yes, you could go for Martinelli, but I still would pay that extra 0.5 for Saka, as I think he's actually worth it. So these two options I consider to be more essential in terms of the attackers, so as I see that we can still get them in with Trent and Salah in the team. Now my next option that I'm going to incorporate here, I don't think they're necessarily kind of essential, but I would probably opt for them. It's going to be one of the United attackers. Now I'm not talking about Mason Mount, I'm not talking about Antony, I'm talking about Bruno or Rashford, and at this price point, I could actually only afford Bruno. So if you can find 0.5 elsewhere, but you'll see that it kind of gets very thin in terms of the value. As the players are incorporated, I've gone for Bruno Fernandes at 8.5. Great price point to get him in at. Yes, the United fixtures aren't that strong, but at this price point, he's a long-term hold, and he can get points against anyone. So I'm not super happy about going for Bruno instead of Rashford. I always do prefer Rashford, but at the end of the day, you're accommodating Trent and Salah here. Now these players are probably the only essential picks that I would look at. There might be some other options that are nice to have, but I would try get an Arsenal attacker, Erling Haaland, and Bruno or Rashford. You guys comment down below, do you think there's any other essential players that you potentially would look at? But now let's go on to the completion of our squad. So I'm going to start off in goal, and my current goalkeeper of choice is going to be Steele. Now there is a little bit of a debate between the Brighton goalkeepers. Will it be the newly signed goalkeeper or Steele between the sticks? I believe it will be Steele to start the season, and I hope that kind of progresses as the game weeks go on, as the last thing you want to do is use a transfer on a goalkeeper. But the only reason I'm choosing him as a goalkeeper, almost like a placeholder here, my mind is telling me as soon as David Raya leaves Brentford, Flecken's going to come into the squad. Now you guys can also go for Johnston from Crystal Palace at 4.5 though. You have to go in this bracket, as you can't really afford a 5.0. So whichever goalkeeper you guys favor, whether it be Johnston, Steele, or hopefully Flecken, you can just plug them in here. Now going into our defensive department, and I've got Gabriel as an Arsenal defender. I think that this is a kind of a nice to have. I would like to have an Arsenal double up at least with those lovely fixtures coming up, and the defensive entry is the cheapest one. So Gabriel's my preferred defender of choice. You guys could also go for Zinchenko or Saliba if you want, but I just prefer the Brazilian international. Now please just watch out for the preseason because they've just signed Timber. He can play as a centre back, but I don't think Gabriel's place is in jeopardy, but you never know with Arteta. Then our last defender to go over, you guys have to go for a 4.5 here. I've put Botman in here as a placeholder because he's so well owned, but there are a few other 4.5s that you could look at. Could go for Rico Henry, but I probably wouldn't double up on that Brentford defense, and you guys will see why when you check our attack. So if you do go for Steele, you can go for Rico Henry as a 4.5, but there are a couple other 4.5s that are quite attractive. I've already mentioned kind of with Aston Villa, Pau Torres, a new signing for them, Tyrone Mings, and the underpriced video, the best 4.5 to actually get, so maybe plug one of those players in here. Otherwise, you guys can keep Botman. It's a long-term kind of hold. Yes, they have bad fixtures to start off the season, but Newcastle can still do well and keep clean sheets there. But comment down below, who's your favorite 4.5 of choice, and do you have one in your current draft? Now we're going to go on to complete our midfield department, and you guys will see this is kind of similar to our Salah draft. I've gone quite budget here with Mbumo and also Enciso. So 6.5 and 5.5 is quite flexible brackets in terms of the price points. The 6.5 bracket, there's a ton of options. If you guys want to go for a differential there, can go for Matoma, Solly March, or Eze from Crystal Palace. Whereas with Enciso at 5.5, there's not too many other options to go for, so fingers crossed he actually features. Now there's been a lot of talk about that kind of Brighton attack. There's a ton of options now in all departments. So could we see De Zerbi turn into the new Pep? I kind of hope not, but this could happen, and that's why with Enciso, monitor preseason and just hope that he plays. With Mbumo though, I really like him at this price point, but as mentioned, there are other alternatives if you guys want to go there. Now the reason that you guys might want to go different to Mbumo is our last striker is going to be a budget one, and it's going to be Visa up front. So he comes in at 6.0, now you guys can understand why might not want to double up on this Brentford attack, but without Ivan Toney, both these two players are nailed to start. If you guys do go for this team, just hope that Brentford don't sign a new striker, because then we might have some rotation. So doubling up on this Brentford attack might not be the kind of most optimal thing, and that's why I've recommended maybe a 6.5 that's cheaper, or what could happen if you want a Ferguson up front instead of a Visa, they come in at the same price point. There's just too much rotation at the moment within that Brighton kind of attack, and that's why I don't really mind spending 5.5 on it, but as soon as we go for more value, that might be slightly risky. But hopefully through preseason we get some more clarity, as we really do need a kind of budget striker, whether it be Visa, Ferguson, maybe even another option, and we really do need a budget midfielder. And that's kind of the summary of this draft. If you guys do want to go for Trent, do want to go for Salah, you're almost hoping that some of these more budget options emerge throughout preseason, because if they don't, it's quite hard to kind of put all that value in 2 players and not spread it around with how well FPL's priced midfielders and the forwards. So at the current moment, I can't say that this draft is super attractive to me. There's just too many concerns here. You got double up in that Brentford attack. You've got Enciso that might not play. And having to rely on a 4.5 defender every week might not be the best scenario. But I don't know, maybe in your opinion this draft looks super good. And comment down below if you actually are going for this Trent and Salah combination with Erling Haaland. I can't say this draft has swayed me too much or convinced me too much. I'm a Liverpool fan though, so let's see where my kind of heartstrings are come game week 1. But at the current moment, I don't have any Liverpool players in my team. I'm going to go back to downgrading Salah and Trent, upgrading my defensive, midfield and forward departments, as I think overall that structure looks slightly better with the perma captain on Haaland. But this draft is not about me, it's about you, so comment down below what your latest drafts are. Love to see if you guys have Trent, Salah and Haaland in a team. Maybe your team has better flexibility than this one. Otherwise, what changes would you guys make to this draft? There's a potential to maybe shift some funds around, go for a cheaper kind of midfielder, maybe go for a 4 at the back. A lot of defenders are slightly cheaper than these midfielders and these forwards. But if Enciso and Visa and Mbeumo all do well, you're going to be absolutely laughing. But this is basically going to wrap up the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. I'll be seeing you guys for tons of content coming up, as tomorrow we're dropping the first best positional review video. So make sure those notifications are on because you don't want to miss this upcoming series, as it's absolute FPL gold. But I'm going to sign off. This has been Dayvy FPL and I'm out. Cheers, bye.